We are less than a few months away from WrestleMania 42, which is going to be considered to be one of the biggest WrestleManias of all time, even bigger than WrestleMania 40, which is saying a lot because WrestleMania 40 was pretty huge, especially with how much history was made both nights. This time around, we have arguably one of the biggest WrestleMania main events of all time, CM Punk versus Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the Hall of Fame because as of excuse me, excuse me, as of WrestlePalooza back in September, Stephanie McMahon was named the first inductee to be inducted into this year's Hall of Fame. But there might be another one that will get inducted this year, and it might just shock you. It's not John Cena, and it's not AJ Styles. It's actually Big E. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably asking yourself, wait, why is John Cena not being inducted? Well, the answer is simple. Stephanie McMahon is going to be the headliner for this year's WrestleMania. So there could be a high possibility that John Cena might be inducted into next year's Hall of Fame, and he could be headlining the 2027 WWE Hall of Fame class. Now, as far as Big E goes, it makes sense for Big E to get inducted because of what he has done for WWE over the last 12 excuse me, over the last 14 15 years that he's been in WWE. I mean, he's a former NXT champion. He's an 8-time tag team champion, a 2-time Intercontinental champion. Excuse me, a former Money in the Bank winner, and is also a former WWE champion as well. Big E has done so much for WWE, not only for the fans, but for his peers as well. Now, obviously, he's done a lot to contribute to the fan base by giving it his all, and he's truly become such an inspiration to everyone that has been around him, whether it was the other two members of whether it was the New Day, whether it was the Usos, whether it was Roman Reigns, whoever he was in the ring with, he inspired them to be at their best. And the last championship that he won in WWE was obviously the WWE Championship, which he won via the Money in the Bank cash-in on Bobby Lashley. Yes, if you can believe it, it was on Bobby Lashley. One thing that we've learned from watching Big E in WWE over the last 4 years, the last 4 years since he got hurt with his neck injury, was that he always persevered through the pain, and shockingly enough, he didn't need surgery, and he admitted that in multiple interviews, including Corey Graves' podcast After the Bell, which unfortunately no longer airs, which is a bit unfortunate, but I feel like Corey Graves could potentially bring that back at some point, which is very possible. But as of right now, as far as podcasts goes in WWE, I mean, there's the Raw Recap podcast. There's Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast. There's What's Your Story with Steph McMahon, obviously Stephanie McMahon, her podcast. What Do You Want to Talk About, which is Cody Rhodes' podcast, and also the iconic 6 Feet Under podcast, which is owned by The Undertaker. Obviously, he had his own YouTube channel, but ever since the podcast became a WWE production, it it became more than just a podcast. It became a way for people, for a lot of the talent to express their own livelihoods, if you will. Well, and that's what those podcasts are about. It's about exposing their own livelihoods and giving the fans an idea of what they were like back in the day. And that's what Big E did on Stephanie McMahon's podcast several months ago, which I believe that episode aired on What's Your Story not long ago, actually, if I remember right. If I remember correct. It was posted 4 months ago. It actually was posted 4 months ago. Not long ago, actually. It was posted. It was actually posted back in October, funny enough. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. Big shout outs to Stephanie McMahon's podcast. Shout outs to all who have a podcast with WWE. Props to you guys. But Big E really is such an inspiration to everybody around him, because he always persevered through so much, through so many obstacles and so many different trials and tribulations, if you will, not just inside the ring, but outside of the ring as well. And when Big E announced that he didn't need surgery, we all were like, okay, that's a huge relief. And if you guys are curious of how he got the neck injury, go back to SmackDown when it was on Fox about 4 years ago. Literally right around this time, 4 years ago, Big E was in a match with Ridge Holland, and Ridge Holland hit Big E with a belly to belly overhead suplex, and it broke Big E's neck, like just completely paralyzed Big E. Luckily, as Big E mentioned, no surgery was required. However, there were several discs in his neck that were slightly cracked, but they were able to heal on their own, which is incredible. Now, Big E has been doing the PLE countdown shows and the post shows post retirement. So Big E did announce on social media over the last couple weeks that he was going to retire, that he was done with wrestling, that he's content with everything that he's done, and I don't blame him. I do not blame him one single bit. But that brings us to the question of, should he be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year? And the answer is yes. With all of the things that he's done for WWE, excuse me, which included obviously working with the Make-A-Wish kids, with the Make-A-Wish kids, with the Boys and Girls Club, and all these different like charitable events, all these different events with all these I can't speak. With all the contributions that he's done working with the Boys and Girls Club, Make-A-Wish, and all these other different non-profit organizations, he's basically become another version of Titus O'Neil, where Titus O'Neil, he's retired. He's retired. in his own right. And even with everything, even him becoming an ambassador to WWE, he received what was known as the Warrior Award during the pandemic, and he earned it. He 100% earned it, and I feel like Big E should definitely get his flowers because of everything that he's done for WWE, whether it was becoming NXT champion and becoming an inspiration, whether it was being a part of the New Day and working with the New Day to work on on the different nonprofit organizations. It 100% has definitely earned Big E a spot in the Hall of Fame. But when you really think about it, it also comes down to the question of whether or not it'll be this year's Hall of Fame, or whether it should be next year's Hall of Fame. And my opinion, 100% has to be this year's Hall of Fame, because right now there's only one spot that's filled in the hall for this year's Hall of Fame, and that would be Stephanie McMahon with everything that she's done in WWE, whether it was being a former women's champion, whether it was being a commissioner, a general manager, a principal owner of WWE, whether it was being a part of the McMahon Helmsley regime storyline. Everything that she did was so precise and it was so methodical that she became one of the most powerful businesswomen in not just in WWE, but in all of professional wrestling. And that's what got Stephanie to get her flowers in the Hall of Fame. And Big E, he's up there, he's up on that level in his own right. So one could argue that yes, he could be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, but there's also a little bit of argument that Bray Wyatt could also be inducted into this year's Hall of Fame as well, with everything that he's done for WWE, having one of the most brilliant minds in professional wrestling. So there is a little bit of argument to it, but I think we could be looking at a Hall of Fame this year where Big E might end up getting inducted, which is very possible. But I think no matter who gets inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, Big E 100% definitely has earned his flowers, and it's only a matter of time before he does get his flowers in the Hall of Fame. But he 100% earned it. 100% earned it. But I want to get your guys' thoughts on this whole ordeal. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on Big E potentially getting inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, and who else you believe should get inducted into the Hall of Fame. Let me know down in the comments below. And that'll do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel, you guys want more WWE topic videos in the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all my social media. All my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.